Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome once again to Shabbat Night Talk. Tonight, we're going to set off the Shabbat Night Talk with some music. Here we go.
I bring it to you so that you can understand.
Never mind the video quality right now. You know what I need you to do right now? Like the video.
I bring it to
Put
you
your
so
thumbs
that
up.
you can understand the truth.
Let me know how the sound is coming across.
Hold up, bro, I'm here to wake your
Soul up.
Vibrate your mind state and shown up.
Give it to ya.
Make the wicked run and panic when I
Give it to ya.
Lord statutes and commandments,
I'ma give it to ya.
Like Moses on the mount, when I shout holy truth, so
Yeah.
that you can't know what I'm talking about. No doubt, these wise words I saw you brought forth to take the spirit higher.
Let everybody know where it's at.
All fakes and phonies, frauds, cons, and lies.
Share the link.
False messiahs, pretenders, words, purging.
Let everybody know.
Y'all gave me the spirit to spit divine fire.
We on live.
Praise his name and get burned by the flame. This ain't a game. I'm bringing you reality. The fighting skills to kill that Negro mentality. So wake up, Jacob, good Jehovah Elohim reign supreme. I bring it to you so that you can understand.
Like to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone
Children of Israel.
on this Shabbat evening or night already.
I bring it to
We
you
giving
so
glory
that
to the Most High God.
the truth.
Chief Naftali Ben Don. The truth.
1, 2.
1,
So
2.
tell me what them really going to do when the creator of the universe will come calling for you.
Take heed.
I'm guaranteed to give you what you need.
Take heed.
Spiritual food
That I'ma get
you. I bleed the blood of Abraham,
Original.
Hebrew. Here to stop that sin again. This ain't cinema. I don't rock with Jamie Foxx,
But I'm the law-abiding citizen.
In God's holy nation of priests, I'm praying face in the east, teaching the truth.
Let me know how the
streets, up to a life that is safe when it clean.
How the volume
you
is.
can all you want, spread your
Let me
hate,
know
brag
how
your
it
boast.
sounds.
Most High got my back, God Jehovah Zebaoth, aka Lord of Hosts, to whom all praises is due for life. Forsake his way and yo, you just might lose your life. I'm choosing right
over the wrong.
I bring it strong,
Representing for my Israelites.
I bring it to you so that you can understand.
The truth.
Children of Israel.
Yeah. I bring it to you so that
You can understand.
the truth. Children of Israel. Or what the deal, Chief?
People refuse to keep it real, so I got to bring the truth and tell the people how it's done. Make it hot like the day
Y'all created the sun.
I like the bullets fired out of your gun to
Kill the wicked with it. People refuse
to keep it real, so I got to bring the truth and tell them people how we do. Stop telling them lies, start teaching the truth. Or the next rhyme I write might be about you.
about you, about you, about you.
Shoot the gift that's God-given. Adversaries wanted us dead, we still living. Still instilling God's truth and God's children. To hold us back and still take a nation to millions. I'm down for the people, I'm down for the cause. I'm bound by the Torah, so I'm down by law. In spiritual war, mental sword I swing. I don't fear no man
Because I'm down with the king. Hey,
I bring it to you so that you can understand.
the truth.
Children of Israel. I bring it to you so that you can understand the truth. Children of Israel.
Alright, Shema Yisrael, Yo Eloheinu, Yo Echad. Our Father,
Let me know how we sounding.
yeah.
Yahovah.
Eloheinu, you are my strength, my God. Yahovah, I love you. You are my Father. I am your firstborn son. Hey, I love no other.
We praising Yah.
Yahovah.
You already know what it is.
You are my
Let me know the songs you want to hear. Let me know the songs you want to hear.
It means so much to me. Only you
come on.
Control my destiny. And I'm gonna praise your name for eternity. And I'll prostrate myself for you, just like my father do. I feel you're so good.
Pit is too lethal, the fix it deceive you. Israel getting lost in the midst of the evil. Y'all didn't want tight clothes, knowing that it offends you. It's not simple, cause it's the women and the men too sinful. So much pain, you can pour it out. And all the leaders and teachers is getting worn out. Kids suffering, when are we gonna save them? Y'all's waiting patient, like when are we gonna praise them? The new you, the old you, what camp you go to? These are things they say when they try to approach you. I coach you, praise the living king, and I hope you really be reminded and refined through the vocals. See, y'all's with us when we put our best in. I'm stressing. What if all of the leaders was best friends?
A day to time.
We still ride them horses.
We living in the times when we
drive them Porsches. I'm just speaking my mind
and I'm making them nauseous.
Real love wouldn't be a high-rated
divorces.
A lot of people fail, but come back with a stand. And just cause you a male,
that'll make you a man. Come on.
It means so much to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Elohim.
It means so much to
me. You already know what it is. Giving praises to the creator of heaven and earth. We give glory to his name.
It means so much to me.
These dry Judean bones trembled under Rome for sure. They gon' get theirs too. They're not a person exempt. Truth gotta hurt them a bit. My father told the owls be still while I renew my strength. Now I'm out from all facets, trimming the fat, shedding the plastic, spitting that Torah uncut. Yeah, it's my master. I must protect this house. The seventh principle, even if I must protect it from homeborn criminals. Ain't no amnesty family. When Ramesses thought he could handle me, I took his firstborn. When he answered me, spirit is broken, heart is contrite. I rumbled with God and lost the fight. Y'all Israelites know what it be. Like culture accosted. Europeans holding my land hostage. Cause all correspondence proof that they imposters. You don't have to be in Oxford and Rowley. My team consists of parolees and they codies who chose not to live sinfully. I OD on biblical scriptures written specifically for me. The truth burns.
Shabbat shalom, family. Don't forget to share. Let everybody know that we on. Hey, we give glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
We went from Babylon to Carthage. Veggie diets to pork sausage. Caught in the matrix, pushing Benzes got me nauseous. Amongst the thoughtless, captive the vain causes. Calling all Gentiles from out the carcass. From then it's been bonkers. We followed their motto. Left our families in search of bravado. Neglected to check with Old Testament laws inside the Bible. I'm doing Shakri, Minka, and Ma'arib. Hoping that the Most High see fit to show mercy to my seeds. I follow Abraham, Moses, and Malek Dawid. And my philosophies, Job and Moses, Maimonides. 100 years of lynching, social atrocities. I pray my God to listen. One day he ride for me. No one could die for me, despite the popular opinion. The church lied to me, telling me that the sun is risen. Painting the wrong right. I fought the wrong fight, but at the end of the day, I'm Jacob's son of Israelite.
Baby, lonely, I've been no evil, and now I'm through the valley, breaking off from all the lies.
home to the middle passage. From fiddles to instrumentals with rappers. From church boys to corner killers with ratchets. Torah we must practice. This place gon' burn to ashes. Even President Obama is in cahoots with these fascists. So put your trust in your rock and not Barack. Cause at the end of the day, my father ain't got a clock. What that mean? Time is of no essence to his divine presence. That's why I pray my seed take heed and receive the prophetic blessing.
Been no evil and now I'm through the valley, breaking off from all the
knowledgeable. How we do it? Wisdom, she my type, she stole my heart, pierced it with a dart, severed it from elegance and art. When I dwell with her, my friends forsake me, saying I burn too much time with this lady, baby. Got me going crazy, I fiend for her body. The truth in this hottie blew my mind like shells from a shotty. I indulge, even though trails behind me, she much older. Got a groove back from this young soldier. She played me close when I neglect
talking about wisdom here.
She the type to stop live wild cats from getting hype. With that influential light, she ignite. Turn fools to scholars, fools with no jewels, and dudes with top dollar. Bring the beauty out of bras that look like Rottweilers.
Righteousness that will bring us back in return to the Most High. Our lessons will be learned, only repentance, should be our only concern to the Most High. We should know our worth.
Now she kinda sick of my ways, the strength they gave. Length of my days have blazed, now pimp wisdom, cause she pays. See, I'm manipulated by any travesty, individual mind states didn't equate to my thinking capacity. See, now I hustle, she gave my mental the muscle to bust through any opposition I want to. So bonk you, I waxed fat and kicked it. Acted out of her like attack, for instance. Wisdom kill rash decisions, but she blazed when I played the pavement. My bad ways estranged disdain from our engagement, cause I pimped up my temper, stripped her of what she held sacred. She left me without a bill of divorce, cause she couldn't take it. I need a blanket to cover my shame. My mind frame's lame, cause I couldn't retain wisdom and fame. They simply went through my brain, misused her and abused her, and the thing just isn't the same. Now she's staying distant from me. This exquisite feminine entity won't business with me. Initially, she was my first choice above diamonds and rubies. Record deal signings and movies, so I pray shorty I let the blind shine straight through her beauty. Until then, I strive to do my duty.
Righteousness that will bring us back in return to the Most High. Our lessons will be learned, only repentance, should be our only concern to the Most High. We should know our worth.
Now I'm trying to get her back, but moving slack, I couldn't pursue that. So I had to drop shorty, whop a new rap. I had to show her sincerity, barely seen, barely in dreams. To let her know the motive I'm holding is fairly clean. It ain't 100, but all is vanity and all is madness. Out of 1,000,000 shorties, Lil' Mama's the baddest. She's a Bible book vexing, liable to try you in the fire, stand by your convictions. Before by the way in an instant, her kiss is splendid, sweet vintage rhyme put away for the princess. It don't take much but a strut to convince us that the tail end or the butt of her interest could cause men perpetual memories of precepts left for existence.
Righteousness that will bring us back in return to the Most High. Our lessons will be learned, only repentance, should be our only concern to the Most High. We should know our worth.
We're gonna change it up a little right now. Here we go. We're going a little old school right here. Here we go. We're doing a little drumming right now. Say.
Now it's not a movie, beating up the man. But it's not reality, scared to lift your hand. Look to God Almighty and get up off your knees. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world.
Look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over this world. Their mind is in a drought, their heart is in a swirl. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world.
Missy, fountains in your pocket, ashes on your head, looking like some creature from the living dead. Look to God Almighty and praise His holy name. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world.
Look at Jacob's children all over this world.
Hey,
Look at Jacob's children all over this world.
let everybody know that we playing music over here.
Their hearts is in a swirl.
Come on now.
Jacob, you better wake up all over this world.
See, I know someone who's much higher.
Higher, higher.
Oh yeah, I know someone who's much higher. Yeah, I know someone who's much higher. When I've seen wrong prospering wherever they go, I envy the wicked so much that my feet were gone. But now I hold on to someone I know is strong. He my rock and fortress. I put my trust in Yahweh. And you and me, that the whole world can see. Oh yeah, my King here, He protect us all, and He heard my call. Yahweh is higher. Is He a man to where He gotta lie? Is His ear heavy to where He will not hear? Is His arm shortened to where He cannot say? Cast your burden down and give them to Yahweh. Then you and me, that the whole world sees. Oh yeah, my King here, He protect us all, and He heard my call. Yahweh is higher. I used to worry about if my bills get paid.
Come on.
I used to worry about all of my enemies. I used to worry about if my friends would stay. But now I take my problems and give them to Yahweh. He must. And you and me, that the whole world sees. Oh yeah, my King here, He protect us all, and He heard my
Babylon, you dead wrong. Middle passage.
Sort of packed away like unused baggage. Crying as we're dying, I wonder
them live for your riches and your gold. You neither show no mercy to the young nor the old. Babylon, you gon' be paid, boy, your soon time will come.
Who would have guessed you brought Willie Lynch? On top of that, the New Testament placed us in chains, changed our names. Until this day, we are destroyed.
Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong,
Yeah. Practice with the whip. Made us turn around and worship a white man on
A white man on that stick.
Led us to our graves by giving us a God that could not save.
No, let's hear me.
Babylon, your history proves you're wrong.
Say Babylon, you will learn when the tables will turn. When the righteous shall rule in Babylon, you feel burn. No more mental slavery, teaching lies to the youth. The righteous shall prevail with the Almighty's truth. The righteous shall stand in be strong and bold to execute the judgment upon the area of them also. The truth has been told from the days of old. Then we shall rejoice and no cry no more. Yeah. Babylon, I see you
Yeah.
wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you
Oh, wicked Babylon, yes, your time has come. By the hand of Yah, you will fall. Murderers, child molesters, and you rapists of my mothers. Oh, Babylon, you will fall.
Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now.
Babylon, you dead wrong.
Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you wrong now. Babylon, I see you
Put your hands up, y'all. Come on now. Not no church. Not no priest. No JC. Hey.
Not no judge, not no priest, no JC. I know where my next meal come from. I know where the city bill come from. I know where all the truth come from. Where the little bitty youth come from. I know where all the life come from. And where the husband and wife come from. I know where all the knowledge come from. And I know that there is only one. Yeah. Not no church, not no priest, no JC.
Come on.
No.
Come on now. Not no church. Not no priest
No JC. So I listen to the words
of my youth.
yeah. And I found them all to be the truth. Oh, all the love and all the land, I'm so blessed. The wickedness the servant will detest. I find that with your light, you allow me to shine bright. So if you're down for ya today, let me
Come on now.
Not no church, not no priest, no JC. I know where my next meal come from. I know where the city feel come from. I know where all the truth come from. And where the little bitty youth come from. I know where all the light come from. Where the husband and wife come from. I know where all the knowledge come from. And I know, this I know, but yeah. No one reigns above him, and no one reigns beside him.
Ha 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 ha. One love, ghetto America.
Make me wanna holler.
Big up to all the ghetto youths, them back a yard.
We get born out the ghetto, was raised out the ghetto. Oh my Lord, so me tired of the ghetto. Born in the ghetto, oh na na no now. Oh my ass is tired of the ghetto. We get born out the ghetto, was raised out the ghetto. Oh my Lord, so me tired of the ghetto. Born in the ghetto, raised in the ghetto. Oh na na no now. Tired of the ghetto.
Somewhere I know that there's a place for me. 'Cause as long as I'm here, I ain't ever gonna be sadness, madness all around. Wanna get up, somebody holding me down. Am I only blind? 'Cause ignorance is bliss in this day and time.
Oh my Lord, so me tired of the
Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah, I know that there's a place for me where the sun shines, flowing with milk and honey. People ain't cheap.
After the next song, then I'm gonna sit down.
All them liars, as they say they care, but it's so obvious that it's so unfair. Make me wanna holler. Oh, the way they do me ain't right. We got a lot to do, I'm telling you, brother. We need a piece of y'all to pull us through so we can go.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Living in this ghetto world of sin is like being trapped within a wicked world. When I said I've been chained, whipped and beaten, and the fruits of sorrow where my soul has eaten. We're deep in this concrete wilderness. Survival of the fittest, not the strongest and the biggest. Politician on the right, police on the left. Them busting gunshot like the wild, wild west. Me say, oh, what a mess. We see the people distressed, hopeless and depressed, drowning in filthiness. Afflicted and oppressed, drowning in wickedness. Oh, yeah, deliver our souls from death. Me say, wash us clean in thy righteousness. Jehovah, my king, hear my supplication. Bless Israel with thy salvation. We're moving forward, ever going to Mount Zion.
Said I was born, my eyes
my people have to go back home. Step out of Babylon and go back home.
Zion children have to go back home. Leave out of Babylon and go back home. Come, my people, make we go back home. Step out of Babylon and go back home. Zion children have to go back home. Leave out of Babylon.
And my breath will reach the sky, and I will praise thy name forever and a day. God Most High will never die, and my prayers will reach the sky, and I will praise thy name forever and a day. The times come when I cry before you, my King. I will pray to thee, 'cause I will never die. My prayers will reach the sky, and I will praise thy name forever and a day. Most High will never die. My prayers will reach the sky, and I will praise thy name forever and a day. Hear me, Lord, hear me now, yeah. Tell thy son I love thee, child, yeah. Hear my cry before thee, my Lord, yeah. Before thee, my Lord, yeah. Hear me, Lord, please hear me now. Tell thy son I love thee, child. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. God knows I will never die, and my prayers will reach the skies, and I will praise thy name forever and a
Shalom, family. Shalom once again. Welcome once again to the Uzziel Lewi channel. My name is Uzziel Lewi. I'm one of the teachers at Congregation Beit Kakma Ubina. Let me know how the stream is looking, if it's smooth. Let me know if everything is working well. Give me a 1 in the room if everything is working well. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And my computer is moving kind of slow on this end, but it seems like the stream is pretty good. The computer's overloaded over here, so it looks kind of slow over here. I really wanted to give me 1 second here. Maybe it's this thing that I plugged in here that's had everything going crazy. Hopefully now that I plug that out, everything will get back to normal. Hoping that my son comes back down here and gives me a hand. As I'm going a little crazy over here. How's everyone out there? Hope that everyone had a blessed day. I hope that everyone is continuing to grow spiritually and mentally, that the Most High God has blessed you with all the desires of your mind that you desire in righteousness, that the Creator will continue to be with all of his people, wherever we might be scattered in the four corners of the earth. All right, so I pray that the Creator is with each and every one of you, and that the Creator will continue to protect you all. Give me a second here as I'm trying to make sure that I'm closing out unnecessary pages. This computer is definitely moving extremely slow. That means it's almost time for a new one. Computers start breaking down after a couple of years of the workload, especially the workload that we put on them to do these streams and things of this nature. So maybe in a few more months. Something is going on there. How y'all doing, family? Welcome once again. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. I thank all of you for being with us. For joining us, for allowing us to be a part of your night, your evening, and it's a blessing. As you all know, we enter in the season of Hanukkah, and also we enter in the people are entering the season that all these people go crazy and gaga about. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Got to get up for a second. Give me 1 second here, family. Yes, I'm back. I know some people say he's never ready. There's just so many things down here, and I'm working by myself. I mean, I work with my son, but I am working by myself also. So he kind kind of sets everything up for me, and then he leaves. All right, let me take this one screen off. This microphone giving me so much trouble. Yeah, family, good to see you all. Continued blessings to everyone. Praying that the Creator will continue to be with you all. Bless each and every one of you. May you continue to find favor before the Creator of heaven and earth. And may the Creator continue to bless you in your endeavors. Ask the children of Israel. I wanted to talk a little bit about this season that's coming up, and if I could get this thing to open up for me. There you go. Time for a new microphone also. Microphone giving me a hard time. Hopefully this opens up and I could get it to go into what I really want to go into tonight. I wanted to let me see here. Little humming is driving me crazy. Okay, thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. And I'm grateful to this mighty King for my life, the life of all of you. And man, this week was a bit of how will you say it? Not a challenge, but just put it like this: I had a 1-year-old taking care of a 1-year-old. Her mother was on vacation, and I got left with the responsibilities of taking care of my 1-year-old daughter by myself. So just imagine how that turned out for someone like me. I know she's out there right now. I don't know if she's sleeping or if she's up, but she's out there right now. Shalom to you, baby. She's with her grandmother tonight. I pray everything is well with her. I know everything is well with her, but you know, she drove me crazy this week, I must say. But it's okay. That's what babies are supposed to do. That's what young ones are supposed to do. Hey, don't forget to share the video. Send it to all your different links. Let everyone know that we're on. I have this hard drive here that I've had it for years, and I think I have to clone it, or I have to, because it's moving so slow. It's just filled with a lot of my information, and I don't want to have to lose it. It takes a long time to read on any computer, and it actually has a lesson on it that I usually do. So I just want to make sure that it's up and running and working good. Oh, what's going on here? This right here is like crazy. It's buffering. I don't know why this is buffering. But oh well. As long as y'all could see the stream, well, thank you the Most High God. She's sleeping good. She's a little she's a handful. Put it like that. So I love her. But definitely a handful. So like I was saying, this silly season is coming up. Oh, here we go. Hopefully I could get this up and running and it won't be an issue. Here we go. Now let's search. Let's search. Come on, man. I will you will survive. This week I was shut down. I tried, but I was shut down. I couldn't do anything. It was just full attention. But like I said, it was a beautiful thing. And it allows you to really get to know them and see their personalities and how they really are, you know? It's a blessing. Children are a blessing all the time, you know, and when we see that they are a blessing and we accept them as a blessing from the Creator, then that make things even that much better. All my children are blessings from the Creator. And we must thank the Creator for them. The good ones, the bad ones, because as long as they're alive, still have an opportunity to do that which is right. All right, so definitely a blessing, our children. Now you see here, this thing opened up, and I still can't find what I'm looking for. Kind of stuff that drives me crazy. I had this whole thing ready for y'all. And it won't open up. It's okay. So yeah, like I was saying, our children are definitely a blessing, and we must thank the Creator for them. You know, some people can't have children, right? So we got to be thankful for the ones that we do have, and pray to the Creator that He will protect them and be with them, open up their minds and make them understand that there is only one God. So sometimes is it's a struggle, but the Most High God don't give us more than what we could bear. So that's that. Here we go. Think I found it. Do I want to open it that way? I guess so. Okay. Let me see. Nah, maybe I open it this way. There's nothing there. Maybe this way. Here we go. Okay, now. So because we're coming up on this season, and we're already in the season, and people are already in the spirit of it. You know, during this season, this Xmas season, a lot of our families go out, do a lot of spending, do more spending than what you could afford, right? And you know, for many years they've told children that Santa Claus has, gotten them their gifts and how great Santa Claus is and all these things. When you really going out there killing yourself and trying to give this child a better life, or trying to provide for this child in order to stay in line with the season that's at hand. And it's a shame how many of our people go out there and put so much money out and spend so much money in order to get into the spirit of this season, and not understanding that all these things are things that the Creator did not tell us to observe. And these things are not things that the Creator, or these seasons are not seasons that the Creator accepted or even told Moses to give onto humanity to observe. So we have to be very aware of the things that we do, how we do them, what we celebrate, what we say is of God, because everything is not of the Creator. Xmas is a man-made holiday with accents of paganism in it. Well, not accents, I mean mainstays of Xmas are from pagan religions of the north, Roman, Nordic, whatever people you could think of. They took a bit of a piece of everything or everyone that they could take it from and added it to what we know today as Christmas. But we have to be careful with these celebrations, because the Most High God told us not to follow the way of the heathens, not to follow after their ways and their customs, and do after the things that they do. And unfortunately, a lot of our people have followed after the ways of the heathens and have done what the heathen have done or are continuing to do. The funny thing about Xmas is that in Christianity or in Catholicism, they said, on Christianity, period, they said that this is the day that that their Messiah, their Christ, was born. It's not. Nowhere, even in the New Testament, is it written that he was born on December 25th. As we're going to read these slides, and as I go through with these slides, you're going to begin to see where Xmas originates from, its pagan origins, and how things were put together to accommodate certain peoples in those times and in those regions that they wanted to become Christians. So therefore, the church had to conform to certain things and had to accept certain things into their religion in order to please the pagans that had their own religions during their times. The Roman Catholic Church was the authority, became the state religion of Rome, made and sealed by Emperor Constantine. And what happened is that everyone had to follow Christianity. But there were so many pagans. Constantine himself was a pagan, but later changed to Christianity. So in order to allow people to become Christians without any problems, he adopted some of the pagan ways and introduced it to Christianity, and they are part of Christianity till this day. So this is the basis of a lot of what we're doing. So I'm just going to read through some stuff. Hopefully it'll be helpful to some of you. Begin with the slide. It reads here, what is Christmas? Christmas, Christian festival in celebrating the birth of Jesus. The English term Christmas, Mass on Christ's Day. But like I told y'all already, Christ was not born on this day, right? Not even the New Testament tells you anything about Christ's birth date. It tells you about the time when shepherds was out in the field with they sheep, with they flock. And believe you me, that wouldn't be in the middle of December or at the end of December, because in that part of the world it also gets cold, and nobody will be out there with tending they sheep or be with they flock out there sleeping in the night. Right? It says when he was born, this is what the men were doing. This is what the people were doing during that time. So December 25th wouldn't be that time. It says here, it's a fairly recent origin. The early term Yule may have derived from the Germanic Jol or the Anglo-Saxon Giol, which referred to the feast of the winter solstice. So we are at the beginning of the winter solstice. All right. Actually tomorrow will be, and let me make sure I say it right. Tomorrow will be as the winter solstice. Tomorrow will be the shortest day, or the shortest day with daylight in this part of North America, right? And then from that day forward, from the 22nd, moving forward, the days will begin to get longer and longer. As if you begin to notice, each day will begin to gain a minute a day. I believe there's a period of days, maybe like 2 or 3 days, where the time stands still and it's identical, and then each day begins to date sunlight, or the sunlight becomes longer and longer per day, right? And that is the winter solstice. That is the beginning of the winter solstice. It says here, and also as we see, that is officially the beginning of winter, right? December 21st. The corresponding terms in other languages, Navidad in Spanish, Natale in Italian, Noel in French, all probably denote nativity. The German word Welsh Nachtem denotes hallowed night. Since the early 20th century, Christmas has also been a secular and family holiday, observed by Christians and non-Christians alike, devoid of Christian elements and marked by an increasingly elaborate exchange of gifts. In this secular Christmas celebration, a mythical figure named Santa Claus plays the pivotal role. A mythical figure named Santa Claus plays the role. So as we go further into this slideshow, I will go into the whole where the Santa Claus figure originates from, the actual person that was named Oris St. Nicholas in history, and how that became the Santa Claus story, and how it transpired to become the Santa Claus story that we know today and that we follow today, that not us as Israelites, but many of our people follow today. Very important. This is very important information and what we need to know and understand, that a lot of these things are things that lead our people astray. And what we have to understand is that these things have set us back for years. This is part of us, or why we cannot return, because our people are fully engaged in these days, and they don't know any better. So it's our job to teach them about the origins of these days and how they have nothing to do with God, and how God never ordained any of these days. The main problem is that people do not read. There's a lack of studying and reading within the black community, period. Within the Latino community, as they call them. Let me tell you something about that Latino and black thing. That is another way of them separating us, all right? Most people that they call Latinos have that Israelite blood in them. Whether you like it or not, whether you look at them and say, oh, they're too light, or they're this or they're that, we don't know how Israel is going to come back. But I know for a fact that a lot of the brothers and sisters that we call Latinos, a lot of them brothers and sisters are Yisrael. And that's a fact. All right? So a lot of us are caught up in that mess, or in that confusion of these days. And listen, you could be an Israelite born in this way of life, and you still get caught up inadvertently. You know, you never heard Christmas songs in your house. Your parents raised you up, brought you up as an Israelite, but yet you know Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell rocks. You know all the Christmas songs. Why? Because during this season, I mean, they start from Halloween, from before Halloween, that other pagan holiday, and they already start bombarding you with Christmas, right? Halloween, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. By the time you get to here, I mean, you done heard all the Christmas songs. Christmas is so popular that artists, if they have a Christmas album, could tour off their Christmas album during this time. Example, Mariah Carey, she's touring off her album during this season. So this is what we fall into, and what we fell into as a people. We have to get out of that, and we have to begin to look at God and understand that the creator of heaven and earth have left days set here on earth for us to observe. He left us Pesach, right? He left us, you know, it's a 7-day feast. He left us Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. He left us Yom Teruah. He left us Yom HaKippurim for us to atone from our sins. He left us even the feast of Booths or Sukkot. And then he left us the 8th day Solemn Assembly, Shemini Atzeret. Most High God left us all this day. And Sukkot is a 7-day celebration, feast before the Most High God. So we have days. And we also do secular days like Purim, which our forefathers asked to be observed. And during that time, we gave portions and gifts one to another. It's not the Israelite Halloween. All right? We do not celebrate Halloween. That's not the day we go around putting on costumes and doing all of these things. Okay? Just to be clear and just to have you understand what the day is about. We got Hanukkah, which is a day of rededication of the temple. It's not the Israelite Xmas. Hanukkah bushes is not something that we put in our homes, or that the Judas Maccabees and his father, Mattathias and all of them wanted us to do. They wanted us to remember these days because they rededicated the temple and the struggle that they went through in order to be able to rededicate the temple for that short period of time. All right? So let us all stay focused. Hanukkah is not an Israelite Xmas. All right? Here we go. Next slide. How did December 25th become the birth of Jesus? The precise origin of assigning December 25th as the birth date of Jesus is unclear. The New Testament provides no clues in this regard. December 25th was first identified as the date of Jesus' birth by Sextus Julius Africanus in 221 Common Era, and later became the universally accepted date. So you see that? Julius Africanus, Sextus Julius Africanus, right? Or Sextus is like the 6. Julius Africanus the 6. He was the one who decided, all right, December 25th is the day of Jesus' birth. Remember, Christianity became the state religion of Rome. Nowhere in the New Testament is it identified what date Jesus was born on. And I have to say New Testament because that's the book of his life. So these are things that we have to do. We have to read. We have to find out. You got to question your pastor. You have to question your minister and ask them, why do we celebrate December 25th as Christ's birth when the New Testament doesn't tell us what date he was born on? This is part of scholarship and growing in your studies. One widespread explanation of the origins of this date is that December 25th was the Christianizing of the Dies Solis Invictus Nati, day of the birth of the unconquered sun. So remember, the Romans during this time, they celebrated the Saturnalia, would coincide with the winter solstice. Now, the whole thing with the winter solstice and how, remember how I told you that during this period of time, there's 2 or 3 days that the daylight stays at a steady kill. It doesn't change. But right after that time, the daylight begins to get longer and longer within a day. In fact, it gets longer and longer by a minute per day, a minute or so, minute or 2 per day. It begins to start getting longer. So what the Romans did during the Saturnalia, because they understood the times and the seasons, all them ancient societies knew times and seasons. They knew that this was that time. So during the Saturnalia, it was like a lot of revelry, a lot of partying, almost like Mardi Gras, like carnival, right? All types of debauchery and stuff used to go on. There's a bunch of stuff. But nonetheless, they were celebrating. They were happy. They were jumping up and down. And they understood that after these days, right, they celebrated the Saturnalia from December 17th to the 24th. They understood that after these days, that the sunlight will begin to get longer and longer and longer every day by a minute or so every day. So they call that Dies Solis Invictus Nati, day of the birth of the unconquered sun, because they felt like the sun was re-given its strength, because now the days will begin to get longer and longer and longer. Remember, prior to that, from the summer solstice, the days begin to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So now, when it gets to this point, the days begin to get longer and longer and longer. So they call it the day of the renewing of the unconquerable sun. Now the sun is renewed on this day. And thus, that's where they took the Saturnalia celebration, right? Which was the day of the birth of the unconquered sun. And instead of the S-U-N sun, they substituted the S-O-N sun from the New Testament, because they wanted pagan people that followed that pagan religion in the Saturnalia to follow Christianity. You get me? Am I losing you? Am I being clear to you? Is it making sense to you? Please let me know if it's making sense to you. Please put a 2 in the room. If what I just explained to you makes sense, please put a 2 in the room so that I don't confuse anyone. A popular holiday in the Roman Empire that celebrated the winter solstice as a symbol of the rebirth of spring and summer. Indeed, it says here, indeed, after December 25th had become widely accepted as the date of Jesus' birth, Christian writers frequently made a connection between the rebirth of the sun, S-U-N, and the birth of the Son, S-O-N. So they made that connection. Christian writers right after that, in order to get people right in line. So one has nothing to do with the other. They're definitely two separate things that they combine in order to get people to accept. Understand what I'm saying? One of the difficulties with this view is that it suggests a nonchalant willingness on the part of the Christian church to appropriate a pagan festival when the early church was so intent on distinguishing itself categorically from pagan beliefs and practices. So the original church fathers, they didn't want anything to do with the pagan customs that the Romans had, but they wilted later and they adopted or incorporated some of their practices into Christianity. So Christianity is a mixture of quote unquote Christianity and paganism by a lot. So we got to keep these things in mind, all right? Next slide. Origins of the Christmas tree. It says, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the use of evergreen trees, wreaths, garlands to symbolize eternal life was a custom of the ancient Egyptians, Chinese, and Hebrews. Tree worship was common among the pagan Europeans and survived their conversion to Christianity and the Scandinavian customs of decorating the house and barn with evergreens at the new year to scare away the evil, and of setting up a tree for the birds during Christmas time. So now we get into the Scandinavians, to the Nordic people, to the Netherlands and all these people, right? Germanic people. So they used to use the tree, and this was the way that they looked at it. Everything, all vegetation died during winter. And the only tree that doesn't die in the winter, that grows year round, is the evergreen tree, the pine tree, right? So these people, because they were so superstitious and they made a god out of everything, they said, this tree has magical powers. It has magical powers, so it must be something to this tree. We're going to bring it in the house because they believed in all these spooky spirits and all this stuff, so that it could ward away evil spirits. Remember, they dealt with a lot of that unknown and black magic and all that stuff because people were dying. People were dying much more back then than they do today. Of course, they didn't have health care and the level of doctors that we have today. So when a plague came through a town, they did the hooba to their gods and stuff like that. I mean, plagues, something as simple as pneumonia or fever or something that you could pass on will wipe out towns because they didn't have antibiotics or any things of that nature in order to ward off these diseases. So these people were very superstitious. They didn't think that it was diseases. They would think that it was some evil that came around. So they used to have all these beliefs, of things that will ward off evils and bringing the pine tree into the house was one of them, to ward off evil spirits. Thus, the beginning of the Christmas tree. During the Roman midwinter festival of Saturnalia, houses were decorated with wreaths of evergreen plants, along with other intendescent customs now associated with Christmas. The modern Christmas tree is frequently traced to the symbolism of trees in pre-Christian winter rites, wherein Viking and Saxon worshiped trees. They literally worshipped trees. They had a god for everything. The story of Saint Boniface cutting down Donor's oak illustrates the pagan practices in the 8th century among the Germans, right? So look up that story, right? Boniface, Boniface, cutting down Donor's oak, Donar apostrophe, or Donar, Donar, all right? Later folk version of the story adds the detail that an evergreen tree grew in place of the felled oak, telling them about how its triangular shape reminds humanity of the Trinity and how it points to heaven. So later on, they added stuff once again to accommodate the Christian base. This is the lovely thing about the Tanakh, the beautiful thing, is that it came in an original language that people cannot tamper. So if you learn Hebrew, tamper. If you learn Hebrew and you learn how to break down the words, it's an untampered book. There's an untampered way of life. This is why we don't add so much to the way of life as some people do, because it's a perfect word. It's what God gave us. We don't need to add to it or diminish from it. You get what I'm saying? But with these different religions, a lot of times they add things, they make amendments, they do this, they do that. God didn't tell us to do any of that. So we have to consider ourselves to be blessed, all right, for all of the things that the Most High God has given us and allowed us to return or retain. You know, the Word of God is the #1 selling book every year. Do you know that most nations are governed by the Word of God? And the only place where you find the law, statutes, and commandments of the Creator is in the Old Testament. So we're grateful to this mighty King for that he still left it on record here for us to be able to continue and do what is it that he needs us to do. And that we're not caught up in keeping these pagan holidays. Says here, the Yule log. This is a pagan custom from the Yule festival of the Teutonic and Celtic tribes, which Yule festival was in honor of the god Thor. The Saxon and Goths burned the Yule log at their festival of the winter solstice. So you see what all these ancient societies have in common, right? They all celebrated the winter solstice. They all put something to the winter solstice. Each year, a brand was saved to rekindle the new fire. The remnants were believed to have magic powers, and the log symbolized protection against evil spirits. Once again, the whole evil spirit, like I explained to you, these people were going through a lot, were losing a lot of people, so they was into all the evil spirit and all this and all that, praying to their gods, right? This is where this stuff come from. Fortunes were told by the Yule log, and its light was considered sacred. To the ancestors of the Catholic faith, Christmas was called the Feast of Lights. The lights and fires incorporated into the nativity celebration were made to symbolize the fact that the darkness of the world was past and true light now shone. This background explains the lights on the Christmas tree. Everything about the Christmas fire and lights was considered very sacred. The blaze of the fire was made to symbolize Christ as the light of the world. So you're seeing how Christianity incorporated everything, made everything one. It's all pagan. All the celebrations are pagan. All the things are pagan, and we have to be aware of these things. It says here, Christmas candles. The Yule candle was burned as a companion to the Yule log. The modern candle set and windows have their origin in the Yule candle. The tradition was brought to this country by the Irish and Ireland. During the years of religious suppression, candles were put in the windows to attract fugitive priests who would know it was safe to enter the houses and to say Mass. Modern candles used for decoration, though electric and not waxen, incorporate the same principle the Catholic Church set forth as Christ, the light of the world. So all the lights on the windows and the Christmas tree, the symbolism signifies that Christ is the light of the world, right? And they attract us with this beauty because it looks beautiful. The lights shining, everything just glistening. It looks beautiful. The children are attracted to it. But everything that glitter is not gold. It's not commanded by the Creator. So we have to be careful with these things. And we have to know what we get into and what our people don't know. Now, I'm not so much talking for those of you who will hear and understand this. Mic check. Yeah, it's back on, but it's not the right one. 'Give me a second here. I'm trying to get the right mic up. Although you can hear me, it's not the right mic that I want to. One, two, mic. Shalom. I don't even know where this stuff is at. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. I guess you guys can hear me. Man, this computer's moving slow. I don't know what's going on here. I guess y'all can hear me. There you go. Did hopefully it's working now. Good. Okay. Now that should be better there. Thank you. All right. Evergreens. Where did I leave off at? Just where I left off. Please let me know where I left off at so I could pick it up from there. If anybody was paying attention and remembers. Did I leave off at evergreens? Did I leave off at evergreens? Sound going again? Nah, the sound should be good now. 1 2 1 2. No audio. All right, let's see what's going on here. Shalom, 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 shalom. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. I hope everyone can hear me now. Mic check 1 2. U log, okay. All right. The Yule candle. All right, so I'll read that over. Okay. Sound back. Good. Everybody's good. All right, here we go. So now, Christmas candles. The Yule candle was burned as a companion to the Yule log. The modern candles set in windows have their origin in the Yule candle. The tradition was brought to this country by the Irish. In Ireland, during the years of religious suppression, candles were put in the windows to attract fugitive priests who would know it was safe to enter the houses and to say mass. Modern candles used for decoration, though electric and not waxen, incorporate the same principle the Catholic Church set forth as Christ, the light of the world. So, as we see once again, if the audio is in and out, I'm not sure why the audio is in and out, but it seems like everyone else is getting good audio. So if you're getting good audio, just let me know that you're getting good audio by putting a number 2 in the room. Or if the audio is going in and out, just give me a number 3. If the audio is good, give me a number 2. If the audio is bad, just give me a number 3. All right? So I know what to do from here on out. Our brother, our sister Bathsheba Yisrael say it's in and out. Sound is good. All right, good. So that's the Christmas candles. Next, the evergreens. You have already read how houses and public places were decorated with evergreens during the Saturnalia and calends of January. They were never sought merely for the decorative capabilities. The evergreens were used as defense against demons and witches they thought were especially prevalent during the time of year. They thought the winter demons were afraid of the greens because they stayed green all year. Green belongs in the realm of summer and life. Winter kills most summer's vegetation, but the evergreens remain steadfast. They were symbols of everlasting life to the heathen. So the heathen believed that the evergreen had these magical powers because they stayed green even in the wintertime when all the greenery died, right? Greenery was associated with summer. But this tree survived the winter. So it showed that, hey, it must have magical power. The heathens, this is what they thought. All right, so all of the people that are having bad sound, you might need to refresh your computer or refresh your phone, whatever it might be, because everybody here, most people say that they're getting good sound with the number 2. All right. It says here, at first, the church frowned upon the intrusion of paganism into the sacred season on account of the superstitious sentiments which were bound up with them, but it was too deeply rooted for prohibitions to have permanent effect, and in due course they were annulled or forgotten. Instead of banning them, she more often permitted their continuance, directing her efforts towards investing them with a new sanctity and meaning. While they were often made to represent higher and holier things, the older notions were not always discarded. Hence, the mixture of ideas, pagan and Christian, which became entwisted with greenery of the season. The plants, which more than any others entwine themselves about the festival, are holly, ivy, mistletoe, and rosemary. So, once again, as the centuries went past, the Christian or Catholic Church, when they seen that they could not defeat the pagan customs, they just deemed it holy. And said, you could keep your traditions. Now you see how this whole season of Christmas is being built and how we celebrate it. All its celebration is pagan. And we must know this, and we must understand this. We must know that the whole Christmas celebration is a pagan origin, brothers and sisters. Don't allow your children to be involved in this. This is why it's important to be an Israelite, marry Israelites, carry it in the Israelite fashion, carry it in the Israelite manner. So that way your children and your children's children don't have to suffer through celebrating certain things and certain seasons that's going to drive them away from keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. This is the danger that we fall into, right? You know, you might marry someone and they might not do that. That's a blessing, but it's a chance that we are taking, and we have to be sure that we don't take those type of chances, right? Because that is a violation against Yah's laws to be doing these days, and to be following in pagan customs and traditions that come from religious rites or pagan rites that people used to do during those days. And we have to be very careful as to how we do things and how we operate so that the Most High God won't be angry with us. All right? So this is the importance of this thing and what we have to understand and what we have to know. Let me see here. It says here, let's go to the next thing. Deck the halls, right? This is a famous song. Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. So that's where all these traditions come from. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, right? La la la. The evergreen, the greenery that exists comes from pagan customs of driving away evil spirits from the home or from the regions that these people lived in. So when we bring all these wreaths to our doors, when we bring the Christmas tree in, no one understands that these are all traditions that are associated with paganism. When you bring a Hanukkah bush into your house, a Hanukkah bush is nothing more than a substitute for a Christmas tree. Our children did not celebrate Hanukkah or observe Hanukkah the way it's celebrated today. The Hanukkah bush came into existence, and giving gifts during Hanukkah came into existence during the 1930s and 40s when the Jews were leaving Germany because of Hitler's madness, right? And when they got to the ghettos of New York City, and they were going to school during this time and during this season, they will see the other kids getting Christmas presents and all types of stuff, coming back to school with all these things. And the kids will begin to say, well, these kids are getting presents for Christmas. You know what? Why we can't get presents for Christmas? And what the Jewish community did is they compromised, right? Because they didn't want their children to turn to Christianity. They said, we're going to have us a Hanukkah bush. We're going to start to give gifts during Hanukkah to appease our children. But that's not what the Most High God said for us to do. We don't have to do something to appease our children because of a pagan costume that's there and that people are following, and then feel like we have to accommodate something so our children will fall in line and we won't lose them. We just have to teach the truth. We got days like Purim. We always celebrated Purim with giving gifts one to another. You get gifts on any of the holy days. That's not restricted. God don't say we can't give gifts to each other. It's a festive time. It's a holy time. People have to be more aware. They have to understand what is it that's happening and what's going on. So now it's a bunch of things about mistletoes and all that stuff. I'll give that to y'all on another day, maybe tomorrow. Santa Claus, let's get to that. Santa Claus was created by merging Woden, one of the gods of the Northland, with the Roman Catholic bishop who was canonized a saint. Woden was chief among the Northland gods. He came from the Near East, Mesopotamia, Babylon, and made his way northward into Scandinavia, where his name was pronounced Odin. When the Germanics adopted him, they acquired some new and more exalted ideas of what a god could or should be. For gradually Odin grew into a very wise god who knew everything that was going on in the world. On each of his shoulders, perched a sharp-eyed, wag-tongued raven who flew forth to the ends of the earth and came back to prattle everything it saw. Sometimes Odin himself toured the world on his white horse, Sleipnir, who had 8 legs to give him greater speed. At other times, Odin preferred to hike, wrapped in his blue cloak and wearing his broad brim hat, carrying his wanderer's staff. What is amazing about Woden is his capacity for becoming someone else, or for merging with someone else to make a new person. As we trace the roots that Woden has struck into the life of the Germanic peoples, we find him turning up in the most unexpected places. He merged into the legend of a great king who has never died but now sleeps inside a mountain while the ravens fly about outside. A king who will wake up someday when his nation needs his help to fight off the enemy. But of most interest, however, is the fact that Woden has become Santa Claus by merging in the legend of this Catholic saint. Let's go. Saint Nicholas. Who was Saint Nicholas? He lived during the reigns of the Roman emperors Diocletian, Maximilian, and Constantine. Late in the 3rd century and into the 4th, when he was still a young man, Nicholas was consecrated Archbishop of Myra, a seaport town located in Turkey. He died on December 6th. This is his feast day. Varied and numerous legends gathered about his life on earth, his life as a saint after his death. So St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas Eve is celebrated annually with the giving of gifts on 5th of December. The night before St. Nicholas Day is in the northern Netherlands, and on the morning of the 6th December. St. Nicholas Day itself in the Roman Catholic southern provinces, Belgium, Luxembourg, northern France, French Flanders, Lorraine, and Artois. He is also well known in the territories of the former Dutch Empire, including Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, and Suriname. He is the primary source of the popular Christmas icon of Santa Claus. So the story of St. Nicholas it goes as this. Let me just make sure. That's the last slide. So let me see if I remember the story. I just told it the other day. So St. Nicholas was born to wealth in Turkey, in this town, Myra, in Turkey. His parents passed away as the story goes. Now, St. Nicholas was actually a real person, right? Recorded, documented, a real person. So what happened is that he had all this wealth, but he didn't care about wealth. He began to give it away to all the people in the town. There's a story that speaks about there was a man with 3 daughters. Now, in those days, women actually had to pay dowry to be married. Not like the Tanakh said that the men, but in those days, I don't know how that worked out, but women had to pay the dowry. So this man was worried. The father of these 3 virgins was worried that he was not going to be able to give his daughters away, that he would have to sell them as slaves, but he wanted to marry his daughters off. So St. Nicholas got a wind of this, as the legend says. In those days, people used to keep their stockings and their shoes by the fireplace because it was very wet land and cold and snowy. So they would put their shoes and their stockings by the fireplace so that they could dry. Just like we do today, we put our fireplaces, as if we live in the Northlands, radiators. You might put a sneaker there. You might put whatever, a shirt, whatever, so it could dry off faster. So St. Nicholas got he hears of these three girls. So the first daughter is either going to be married off or she's going to be sold into being a maid or a servant or whatever. So the father doesn't want that. One of the stories say he climbs up to the roof and throws down some gold coins down the chimney, and it falls into the shoes of the girls or of the girl. Another story say he opens the window, throws it in. Nicholas does this for all three girls, and then he goes around town looking out for the poor, the needy. He was also a sailor, so he traveled all the regions of the Mediterranean, and as the legend goes, and it says that he would come in a sailboat with a bunch of gifts, and when he got to these different ports, that he would give all his wealth and all this gift to all the unfortunate people. So, like I said, he became an archbishop. People got a wind. Rome got a wind of how he was acting, and boom, they gave him sainthood. They martyred him, made him a god. Basically, people prayed to him. He's the patron saint of the travelers, I believe. Don't quote me on that. The travelers and of children. So in the northern lands, in Deutschland and France, and they mentioned all these places. Let me see what they got here. I'll make sure. It says here, in northern Netherlands, and on the morning of December 6th, St. Nicholas, that southern provinces, Belgium, Luxembourg, northern France, French Flanders, Lorraine, and Artois. He's also well known in the territories of the former Dutch Empire, including Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, and Suriname. So this is where the legend of Santa Claus. So in the Netherlands, they have Santa Claus Day. Santa Claus and Zwarte Piet, right? Zwarte Piet is the little black helper that Santa Claus has, right? Santa Claus is Saint Nicholas, basically. He died on December 6th. They have a eve of his day, and on the actual day, in these places, they actually have the day off. They give the children gifts, so forth and so on. So they actually celebrate the life of this man who lived. So Santa Claus, because the Dutch speak a certain way. Remember, the Dutch colonized New York first, right? What we know as New York. That's why you got places like Brooklyn. Brooklyn is supposed to be like Brooklyn, right? You got places like, there's so many places that have Dutch names, but they were Americanized. Same thing happened with Santa Claus. He became Santa Claus. So when we get to this western part of the hemisphere, to America, they took this Saint Nick or this Saint Nicholas that the Dutch used to celebrate the day of his death, and the people of the North and Europe, and they just transferred that and put it into Christmas to give it I guess a symbol, right? Because I guess they understood after a while, people will read and understand that this wasn't really the day of Christ's birth. So they melted all these different heathen customs and made it one thing, one conglomerate. And this is what our people celebrate today. The gift giving, the merry making, all of these things are things that are part of our demise and that will destroy us. And the part of the world that we begin to see, people celebrating Christmas in Egypt and in places like this, in Saudi Arabia. Different places people are celebrating Christmas. People that don't know any in Japan. So these are all the things that we have to be aware of. We thank God for our understanding. I thank God for understanding and wisdom. And I'm glad that the Most High God is with us all. All right? So thanking the Most High God once again for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I'm tired. I'm going to go catch some sleep. And I will see y'all in the AM. So blessed be your whole our King. Don't forget to like the video, share it, let everybody know. And I hope that the creator of heaven and earth will be with you all. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah.